If you watched the last video in this series, the one about caregiver burnout, I want to start by acknowledging something. You may have watched that video and recognized yourself, and then immediately felt the weight of one more thing you need to do something about. Because that is often what happens when caregivers finally get honest about how depleted they are. They feel the relief of being seen and then immediately wonder how they are supposed to fix it when they can barely get through the day. I want to say something about the phrase self-care before we go any further, because I know a lot of you are already skeptical. You have heard self-care, you have heard take care of yourself, and your response, which is completely reasonable, is something along the lines of, with what time? With what energy? And where exactly in the middle of managing a parent's care, raising children, working, and keeping a household together, am I supposed to fit this in? That is a legitimate question. All of those are legitimate questions. And it is exactly why the standard self-care advice, the spa day, the vacation, just take time for yourself, falls flat for most caregivers. The strategies I'm sharing today are not that. They are not designed for people who have abundant time and energy. They are designed for people who have almost none. 5 specific strategies, each one practical, each one tested against actual constraints of the sandwich generation caregiver's life, each one designed for work in the real world, not the one where you have a weekend free and nobody needs anything from you. So let's go. Welcome to Sandwich Generation Life. This channel is for adults raising their kids while caring for an aging parent. Before I share the strategies, one reframe that matters. Self-care is not a reward for when the work is done. It is not something you earn by suffering enough. It is not selfish, and it is not optional. Self-care is maintenance. It is the ongoing, non-negotiable maintenance of the person who is doing the caregiving. You maintain your parents' medications because without them, their health declines. You maintain their appointments because without them, things get missed. You maintain their environment because without that care, their safety is at risk. You, the caregiver, are also a system that requires maintenance. And when you do not receive it, you decline. Your health declines, your capacity declines, your ability to provide good care declines. Caring for yourself is part of caring for your parent, not instead of. Hold on to that as we go through these strategies. Because every time the voice in your head says, "This is selfish, I don't have enough time for this," I want you to hear this. It is maintenance, ongoing maintenance. Strategy 1, micro moments of restoration. The single biggest barrier to self-care for caregivers is time. You cannot find a whole afternoon. You cannot schedule a weekend away. And so you conclude there is no time for this. But research on restoration and recovery tells us something interesting. The size of the restorative break matters less than the quality of it. A 2-minute break that is genuinely restorative, where your nervous system actually shifts from stress mode into rest mode, is more valuable than an hour of what I call fake rest. Let's talk about fake rest. Fake rest is scrolling through your phone while your mind continues to process every problem on your list. Fake rest is sitting in front of a TV but not really watching it because half of your attention is still on what you have to do tomorrow. Fake rest feels like rest on the surface but leaves you no more restorative than you started. Real rest, even for 2 minutes, requires one thing: a genuine interruption of the stress response. Your nervous system has to actually shift. What works in 2 to 5 minutes? Controlled breathing. Not a vague instruction to breathe, a specific technique. The 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. 3 cycles of that shifts your nervous system measurably. You can do it in a parked car, in a bathroom, waiting for an elevator. Stepping outside for 3 minutes, not for a walk, just to stand in a natural light with your phone in your pocket. Sunlight and fresh air have a direct effect on cortisol levels. 3 minutes, that is all. A short guided meditation or breathing exercise. 5 minutes, eyes closed, headphones in. I created my Peace Be the Journey Flow channel specifically because I know that caregivers need this. I needed it. And they need it to be accessible, free, and short enough to fit in the margins of their day. There are 10-minute meditations, 5-minute meditations, and breathing exercises there made for exactly this moment. The link is in the description of this video. What about that one song? Put on one song that you love, genuinely love, and let yourself be in it for the 3 or 4 minutes it plays. Not background music while you're doing something else, the song and nothing else. The key is making these moments intentional and consistent, not waiting until you are so depleted that you collapse, building them into your day the way you build in other necessities, because they are. Free time was a luxury, but I was determined to find free time. I ended up finding a massage therapist, a nail salon local to my parents' home. I started going back to online yoga, exercising and creating and listening to meditation. Strategy number 2, the one non-negotiable. I want you to think about something you used to do that was yours, something that brought you back to yourself, something that before caregiving consumed so much of your life was a regular part of it. Maybe it was a morning walk before everyone woke up, a specific show you watched without multitasking, reading for 20 minutes before bed, meeting a friend for a coffee once a week, going to a class, working in the garden. I want you to think about that one thing, whatever it is for you, and I want to ask you, when did it stop being yours? For most caregivers, there was a gradual erosion. The caregiving demands grew, the time got squeezed, and one by one, the things that belonged to them got quietly surrendered. The second strategy is this: choose one of those things and make it non-negotiable. Not most of the time, not when things are less busy, non-negotiable. As in, this is part of my week, the same way Tuesday is a part of the week. It happens. It does not have to be big. 20 minutes is enough if it is genuinely yours. The size is not the point. The consistency is. Why non-negotiable matters? When something is optional, even something you want, it is the first thing to go when the week gets hard. And for caregivers, the week is almost always hard. When it is non-negotiable, when you treat it the way you treat your parents' medication or your child's school pickup, it survives the hard weeks because it has to, because you decided it does. You will feel guilt the first few times. The voice will say, I should be doing something useful. I do not deserve this when there is so much to do. Let the voice say it and do the thing anyway. Because here's the truth. The 20 minutes you spend doing something that is yours do not take anything away from your parent. It returns something to you. And the you who comes back from those 20 minutes is more patient, more present, more sustainable caregiver than the one who gave them up. My non negotiable is getting a massage. I tell everyone, my job, my family, whoever asks, I have an appointment today. Or I'm going to my appointment today. I treat it like a doctor's appointment. Then the people in my life don't question it. The job doesn't question it. All they see is I have a 1 hour appointment. And that's the way I treat my non negotiable. Even when I was at my parents', away from my home, I found a massage therapist that was local to my parents' home, that was close. So I didn't have to go far. Strategy 3, the specific ask. Most caregivers are not good at asking for help. I say that without judgment because the reasons are real and understandable. Maybe you have asked before and been let down. Maybe asking feels like admitting you can't handle it. Maybe you have been so used to being the person everyone leans on that the idea of leaning on someone else feels wrong. Or maybe you have asked, but the ask has been too vague to be useful. I could really use some support is technically asking for help, but it does not give the other person anything concrete to hold. And most people who want to help genuinely do not know what to do with a vague request. This strategy is about changing how you ask. The formula, a useful ask, has three components. It names a specific task, it names a specific time, and it is easy to say yes to. Not, I could really use some help this week, but could you sit with mom for 3 hours on Saturday morning so I can sleep? Actually, you don't even have to explain why, just the ask and the time. Not, I'm really overwhelmed with the logistics, but could you take over the insurance calls for the next month? Here's the number, and here is what they need. Not, it would be great to have more family support, but could you bring dinner on Wednesdays? Mom loves anything with chicken. Specific, time bound, easy to say yes to. When you make the ask that specific, two things happen. First, the person you are asking has something real they can do. They do not have to figure out what help looks like. You have told them. Second, when they say yes and follow through, you actually get relief instead of a vague promise that never materializes. Who to ask? Siblings, if you have them, and they are at all available. Friends who have offered but never been given something specific to do. Neighbors, members of your faith community, your parents' friends. And do not forget to ask your parents' care facility or their medical team what support resources exist. Many families do not know that social workers at hospitals and care facilities can connect them with volunteer programs, respite care options, and community resources that are specifically designed to help caregivers. In the early days of caregiving for my parent, all siblings took ownership for the care of my parent. My parent would travel to each sibling's home and stay with them for 1 or 2 months at a time. We all would retrofit our homes for our parent. We would work them into our lives. This helped bridge a gap that served its purpose, and the caregiver stress was not on just one sibling. It wasn't easy setting it all up. Some siblings did not want to add this task to their family or spouse, but it worked until it didn't. Strategy 4, Find your people. Caregiving is one of the loneliest experiences in modern life. You are surrounded by people, your parent, your children, your colleagues, your friends, and yet profoundly alone in what you're carrying. Because most of the people around you have not been through this. They care about you, they want to help, but they cannot fully understand what this is like from the inside. There is something that happens when you find someone who has been through it, someone who does not need the full explanation, someone whose eyes do not glaze over when you describe the insurance call that took 3 hours, or the guilt of feeling relieved when your parent did not remember the argument from yesterday, or the exhaustion that is so bone deep you have stopped trying to explain it to people who have not felt it. That recognition, that felt sense of being genuinely understood, is one of the most powerful restorative experiences available to a caregiver. Where to find your people? Caregiver support groups. These exist in most communities, through hospitals, through hospice organizations, through the Area Agency on Aging, through AARP, through faith communities. Many are now available online, which matters enormously for caregivers who cannot consistently leave the house. And that's important. The AARP Caregiver Community, an online platform specifically for caregivers to connect, share, and find support from others who understand. Caregiver focused online communities, Facebook groups, Reddit communities, online forums where caregivers gather. The quality varies, but the right community can be a genuine lifeline. Leave a comment not just on this video, but across this channel, and you will find that other people are in the same place you are. That is not an accident. That is the point of building this community. And sometimes finding your people is as simple as being honest with one friend, not performing fine, telling one person the real story, and finding that they do not run away from it. What to do with what you find? When you find a caregiver support group or community, show up, not once, consistently, because the benefit of these communities compounds over time. The first meeting may feel awkward. By the third or fourth, something shifts. You stop explaining the basics because everyone already knows. And the space that was used for explanation becomes a space for actual support. I found people to talk to along the way, but I never found someone to talk to that was going through the challenges that I was going through at the time I was going through the challenge. Either they had already gone through the caregiving journey or they had not started the caregiving journey. It was one of the reasons why I started this channel. I knew I could have the most reach with others across the country. I'm even hearing from those in other countries, across different cultures. I feel my videos would meet those individuals where they're at in the caregiving journey. Individuals could come back and watch videos over and over again, stop and take notes. It could trigger them to do their own research for their particular situation. Strategy number 5, professional support as a tool. I have saved this one for the last, not because it is the least important. It is arguably the most important because it is also the one that meets the most resistance. I want to talk about therapy, about counseling, about professional support for caregivers. And before the voice in your head says, I'm not that bad, I don't need a therapist. Other people need it more than I do. I want to offer you a different frame. The reframe therapy is not something you access when things are in a crisis point. It is not a sign that you cannot handle your life. It is not the last resort. Therapy is a skilled professional whose entire job is to help you process the demanding situation, to give you tools, perspective, and genuinely safe place to put things that you cannot put anywhere else. Think about it this way: you're functioning as a care coordinator, a medication manager, an insurance navigator, an emotional support system, a legal administrator, a financial planner, and a hands on caregiver, often simultaneously, often without training, often without adequate support. That is an enormous role. Many people in far less demanding professional roles access coaching, mentoring, or support to help them perform well. Accessing professional support for one of the most demanding roles a human being can occupy is not a weakness. It is the most rational response to the situation you're in. What kind of support to look for? A therapist or counselor who has experience with caregiver, stress, grief, or family dynamics. Not every therapist has this background. It is worth asking specifically when you search. Psychology Today's Therapist Finder has filters for specialization, so you can search specifically for a therapist who works with caregivers, with grief, with anxiety, with life transitions. The link is psychologytoday.com/us/therapist. Many therapists now offer telehealth sessions, which is significant for caregivers who cannot reliably leave the home or who have unpredictable schedules. If cost is a barrier, community mental health centers often offer sliding scale fees. Many health insurance plans cover mental health visits. Employee assistance programs through employers often include a certain number of free counseling sessions. Caregiver support groups, which we covered in Strategy 4, can also provide a form of peer support that complements or, in some cases, substitute for an individual therapy. One specific thing to look for: when you start working with a therapist or a counselor, tell them specifically that you are in a sandwich generation caregiver situation, not just I'm stressed. The specific context matters because a therapist who understands the structural reality of what you're navigating, the competing demands, the ambiguous grief, the role reversal with the parent, the identity questions, can help you in ways that a generalist approach may not fully address. During the roughest period of caregiving, I did seek a free service that my job offered. It is not a psychiatrist, but it was a psychiatrist coach or a counseling coach or something. I had only heard of a life coach, so this was a little different. I was resisting anything for years. I probably needed to do this years ago. It feels good talking with someone that is not my family about all of it. Let me bring these 5 strategies together. Micro moments of restoration. Small, intentional breaks that genuinely shift your nervous system, not fake rest, real ones. The one non-negotiable, the one thing that belongs entirely to you, protected as if it is necessary, because it is. The specific ask. Stop asking for help in ways that are too vague to act on. Give people something concrete and easy to say yes to. Find your people. Seek out at least one person who genuinely understands what you're carrying and the relief of being truly seen by someone in the same situation is not a small thing. Professional support. As a tool, reframe therapy from the last result to reasonable response to an extraordinary set of demands. None of these strategies require a full day off. None of them require perfect circumstances or extra money or a week where nothing goes wrong. They require a decision to take your own well being seriously, not as a luxury, as a necessity. You will make a better caregiver from a restored place than from a depleted one. Your parent deserves that caregiver, and so do you. If this video helped you, please share it. And if you're not already subscribed, please do. And like the channel if you like any of these videos. This channel is building something specifically for sandwich generation caregivers. The full financial picture, the legal foundations, the care options, and the human side of it all included in this. Leave a comment below. Which of these 5 strategies is the one you most need right now? And which one are you most likely to actually do? I want to hear from you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.